Hello dear viewers, welcome back to Turkish series Stars, the place where we unpack the most dramatic twists surrounding the stars you love. Before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed, tap like, and switch on that bell so you're always the first to know what's unfolding. Now, settle in, because the latest chapter in the whirlwind around Alina and Alp Navras is all anyone can talk about, and the tension has never felt sharper. Fans have nicknamed this relentless saga Kuma. But what's stirring isn't just a script, it's the raw emotion and combustible energy that follows Alina and Alp wherever they go. The night began quietly enough, a hush over the courtyard of a sprawling mansion where the couple had been spending more time than usual for work and family meetings. Then came the spark. As whispers and camera flashes hovered at the gate, an argument broke loose in the hallway. You could hear the accusation echo before the words were even fully formed, and it hit like a slap, so you rushed in to save that woman, parading as some rescuer. The tone was harsh, as if heroism were a crime. And then, twisting the knife, the voice hissed, "You trampled me just to step over the threshold of that mansion. You're chasing power harder than I ever did." The hush snapped. The eyes around them turned on Alp, hoping for a crack, a flinch, any sign of guilt. But he didn't flinch. He stood tall, steady, and with a look that said he'd had enough. "Stop," came his answer, strong and unshaken. "I won't wear a label I don't deserve. I didn't sell out anyone." There was no tremor in his voice, only a line drawn firmly in the sand. Behind him, Alina watched, not looking away, not giving up ground. You could feel the loyalty between them, the strange calm that forms when two people decide they won't let the storm push them apart. Then the temperature rose again with a threat meant to strike at the heart of everything, one sentence designed to cut through love, ambition, and loyalty in a single blow. "If Jaylen dares to step back into that mansion, kiss the shares goodbye." The words seemed crafted to hurt, to leverage love against money, to turn a home into a battlefield. But even that wasn't enough to halt the momentum. The response came quickly, unmistakably certain, as if the decision had been made long before this night. "You're late," came the rebuttal, steady like a door closing. "I'm already inside. Don't try to intimidate me. I won't be disappearing. From this point on, you'll be seeing a lot of me." In the space of a heartbeat, the mansion itself seemed to become a character, its corridors suddenly heavier, as if it knew it was now the keeper of too many secrets. And there were secrets, layers of them. Some whispered, some still locked behind tired smiles, some pushed down so long they rattled when spoken aloud. Someone finally stepped forward, voicing the truth that had been hanging like a fog. "You're carrying too many truths that could break both of us if they get out." The warning wasn't gentle, it had the edge of survival. "If you want to make it through this and keep your footing, you'll make sure I don't get tossed aside." It sounded like a deal struck in the dark. It sounded like desperation calling itself strategy. Then it happened, the moment everything slowed, the moment even the scattered flashes from the front gate felt far away. An admission came out trembling, as if the speaker had been rehearsing it for nights without sleep. "If I'd told you everything from the beginning, you would never have let me take Aliyah to see her mother. My mistake put her at risk, and I can't breathe with the guilt. I am sorry, truly." The room tightened around those words. The name Aliyah has long circled Alina and Alp like a soft light, innocent, trusting, adored by them both. Hearing that her safety had been gambled by error was a blow. But the shock didn't end there. The truth that followed was like the ground crumbling under a running step. "You didn't even realize you were the one who caused her father's death." The sentence came out almost as a whisper, but its cruelty rang out. "That little girl loves you more than she loves us. How could you let her down? How could you take her away?" Not even the walls could hide from that kind of accusation. Faces paled. Alina's breath caught. Alp stared straight ahead as if bracing for impact. The words weren't a headline, they were a wound. Those close to the couple know the way Alina grips the delicate parts of life, quietly, carefully, and the way Alp shields what he loves with a ferocity that only softens when he's holding her hand. That's what made this night unbearable, the overlap of personal loyalty and public pressure, of love and suspicion, of duty and temptation. And as the storm spread from one corner of the mansion to another, a new name pierced the noise: Karen. She had been circling the edges of this story for weeks, nodding at the right times, withholding at others, and now she stepped forward with a decision sharp enough to be a final act. "Thank heavens," she said with a tight smile, a strange relief sharpening her eyes. "We're finally rid of that woman." The room didn't relax, if anything, its spine stiffened. Then she turned, and the question arrived with no warning: "Tell me, where did my sister Jallen go?" The name rang out with a different weight than Jaylen, and for a moment it was hard to tell if the difference was accidental or intentional. Alina's gaze flicked, catching every detail, and Alp's jaw clenched the way it always does when he senses someone is trying to trap them between two names, two versions of the truth. Cold orders followed, handed out with the calm of someone who believed power could fix panic. "Take this woman to one of our villagers in Yurugu," Karen declared, as if relocation were just another line item. "Keep her somewhere she won't lay eyes on daylight. She'll be moved as soon as she's released from the clinic tomorrow." The words were delivered so matter-of-factly that it took a few seconds for everyone to grasp their full cruelty. "Lock her up. Hide her. Move her under the cover of discharge papers and polite smiles." There are moments when a story stops feeling like gossip and starts to feel like danger. This was one of them. Alp looked at Alina, not asking a question but promising an answer. They've weathered storms on set and off it, they've corrected rumors with a look or a line, and they've pulled each other back from the edge more times than we'll ever know. Tonight the stakes were different. Tonight, safety had a face, and that face belonged to Aliyah. No wonder the confession had hurt the way it did. No wonder the accusation about a father's death felt like a trap laid with precise care. In the days leading up to this blowout, the energy around them had been thin and electric. The mansion had turned from a place of negotiations into a labyrinth. The shares were a prize, but not an equal one. For some they meant survival, for others validation, and for a few they promised revenge. Every step down those marble halls created a new echo, a fresh rumor, a question about who would be standing when the doors finally opened and the public got its clean, edited version. If Jaylen's return would truly shatter the share agreement, then the mansion itself was a chessboard where every piece had teeth. And all the while, the love story that makes fans swoon went on beating stubbornly through the chaos. When Alp said, "Don't try to bribe me with fear," his voice was quiet but anchoring. When Alina answered stern looks with grace, it was a reminder that tenderness isn't weakness, it's a stronger kind of armor. They weren't just keeping each other upright. They were demanding truth from everyone who thought they could use them as leverage. That's why the confession about Aliyah carved so deep. It wasn't simply about a mistake and a dangerous trip to see her mother. It was about the way guilt can wear a person down until they forget how to be brave in daylight. It was about realizing too late what's at stake when you try to fix a wrong by moving in secret. And even then, the accusation about a father's death felt like salt poured on a wound meant to scare them silent. Whether it was a twisted rumor or a warped memory didn't matter in the moment. What mattered was the pain it caused and the way the child at the center of it would feel if she heard it spoken. Karen's move to ship someone to Yurugu, away from prying eyes, away from sunlight, sent a chill through everyone. You can tell a person's fear by what they try to hide. You can tell their intent by where they insist the darkness begin. It was a calculation as much as it was a command: remove the wild card, isolate the threat, control the story. But life isn't a press release, and Alina and Alp aren't props in someone else's plan. Back in that hallway, after the room emptied and the night stretched thin, Alp traced the doorway with his eyes, as if measuring the path ahead. "We're not letting anyone disappear," he said under his breath, to Alina and to himself, to the house and to the cameras, to every whispered voice that thought brutality could define the final act. And Alina nodded, her calm steadying the air around them. "No more shadows," she answered, promising with the kind of resolve that makes people believe in endings that don't break hearts. So here we are. The web is sticky, the loyalties are tangled, and the clock is ticking toward a climax nobody can quite predict. Will Jaylen really walk back through that mansion door, daring the threats and daring the shareholders? Will the line about the shares be a bluff, or will it bite? Will the confession about Alina be enough to finally force accountability, or will guilt turn into fuel for braver choices? And what about the sharp edge of that accusation, about a father, about a death, about a wound that won't stay buried? In the distance, a suitcase is being packed for Yurugu, and someone is drafting papers to make the transfer look clean. But the heart of the story won't be moved so easily. Karen has made her call. The question now is whether that decision will hold, or whether the plan to hide a woman away will unravel under the weight of eyes that refuse to close. Lock her up until tomorrow, the order went, crisp as coins on a table. We will relocate her the moment they sign the discharge. It sounds like an ending, but it rarely is. Not when Alina lifts her chin and steps forward. Not when Alp positions himself between harm and the people he loves. Not when love proves itself by insisting on difficult truths. You can feel the season turning on this moment, like a door hinge creaking in the heat. Maybe we're witnessing a great unraveling. Maybe we're watching two people we admire step closer to their own center of gravity, refusing to be pushed into corners by fear. They've been through too much to let a power play write their story. The mansion can hold secrets, but it cannot hold them forever. And the little girl at the center of the storm, Alina, deserves more than whispers. She deserves daylight, the kind Karen tried to take away from someone else. So we ask the questions aloud, the way fans do when a saga has us in its grip. Will Jallen find a path out of this net, or has the trap closed too tightly? Will Jaylen's name echo down those halls until the doors fly open and the contract on those shares bursts into flames? Will the confession that began with guilt and ended with tears be enough to soften hearts and force the truth into the room? Or will the threats multiply until no one remembers how this all started? With a rescue painted as arrogance, with a love story tested by pride, with ambition mistaken for betrayal? All I know is this, the next chapter is stalking us, and it won't arrive quietly. We'll see whether the promises made tonight turn into action at sunrise, whether Yurugu is truly the destination or just a specter used to frighten the weary, whether Karen's strategy holds or collapses. We'll see what Alina and Alp choose when the cameras aren't watching. We'll see whether the mansion itself finally coughs up its secrets and lets this war end in daylight. Don't look away now. The heat is rising, the stakes are cruel, and the heart of the story, love, loyalty, and the fight for what's right, is beating loud enough to drown out every lie. Stay with us, because Kuma keeps twisting and turning, and we're going to walk with you through every gasp and revelation, every choice Alina and Alp make as this storm crests. We'll be covering each new beat right here, twice every week, on Turkish series Stars. Subscribe if you haven't yet, ring that bell, and keep your notifications on so you never miss what happens when truth demands to be heard, when that front door creaks, and when the people at the center of this saga face the music. What will happen next? Will Jallen slip free? Will the truth finally pierce the shadows? Your seat is waiting, and our eyes are on the door.